I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwise Capital for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have George Harrap, once again, co-founder of Step Finance, back on the show. George, welcome back. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me again, Ashton. It's great to be back.
You're very welcome. Last time we spoke, Step was working on a lot of different things in the Solana ecosystem, and it's been almost half a year since then. And I know your team has done an incredible amount of new things as well. And it seems like the industry, although there's been a slight dip in the market, it just continues to explode with innovation. And it looks like your Step is totally unfazed by this and just continuing to grow. So amazing work so far. I would love to, for the people who didn't see our first interview, just get a recap on what is Step Finance all about, and then we'll dive into the new details.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Yeah, I think the last time we spoke, it was middle of last year, and Step was, I guess, geez, that sounds like years ago to me now. But yeah, we were just sort of getting started. So I guess to take a step back, what we are. Step is a portfolio manager on Solana for DeFi apps. So essentially, we say we're the front page of Solana, and what that really means is we're one page that can display your portfolio, your positions across all of these different DeFi protocols, as well as having a bunch of useful features which might add value to you in different ways. This might be yield farming, this might be NFTs, might be transactional history. But generally, if you're involved in DeFi, you often need a platform like Step to keep track of everything because there's so much stuff going on. Since we last spoke, Solana's done, I think, a couple of hackathons at least. Some of those hackathons had like 10,000 participants each. It created and spawned like hundreds of different projects. So I guess for us, ever since then, we've been, every single Wednesday, basically, we've been deploying new stuff. And we're one of the few teams that are deploying every single week. We have like a whole bunch of new things that we're doing. And that's just because there's so many things happening and new protocols popping up that we have to be aware of and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess as a brief overview, we're kind of the one place to be for, all of your DeFi shenanigans that might be happening on Solana.
Definitely. Great introduction. And yeah, you're right. Seeing those Solana hackathons, there's so many new projects that are popping up. Without Step Finance, how would you even keep track of like hundreds of projects? It's like, it's a struggle to keep up. And I've noticed a lot of them being towards, leaning towards like GameFi, Metaverse, a lot of NFT stuff as well. And there is still a lot of other DeFi liquidity protocols and cross-chain solutions that are starting to come out. Where to start with all of this? Because there's so many different facets of what Step is following. Where are you seeing the most innovation and growth since our last discussion?
Yeah, well, I guess you've got some pillars of the DeFi economy, right? So most DeFi projects or L1 blockchains you'll need your AMMs, you'll need your yield farms, your lenders. In the case of Solana, there's probably like 5 different AMMs now. There's about 5 different lenders, all with TVLs, sort of 8, 9 digits, and so on. They're the sort of base functionality which you have, right? So we've seen more of them pop up. But we also have a lot of the NFT space really growing. So now there's maybe about 3 or 4 different marketplaces which are doing sort of anywhere between, I think it's like 20 to 30% of OpenSea volume, which is pretty significant, I think, given, where we are and, Solana being an alternate L1 chain. But I do think that that's going to continue to grow. And that's certainly one space which we're seeing quite a lot of uptick on is like, if you want to buy a $2 NFT, where are you going to do that? Like, you can't do that on OpenSea because it's going to cost you $50 to go and mint the NFT in the first place, right? So, and then in the case of Axie, like you had them basically build out a whole new chain, the whole Ronin thing to support their game. So actually, Solana is attracting quite a lot of these games to the blockchain, and it's kind of interesting to see how they're going to grow. Like they're going to integrate NFTs in different ways. And they're going to be able to put them on the decks, and you can use them as loan collateral and all sorts of different things. We've seen that quite a few different games coming up, and I think Solana maybe even launched a fund for that as well. But we're also seeing, I guess, on the financial product side as well, some more complex things. So you're seeing quite a few of the options protocols coming along. There's the what is it, the SSOV, or single stake vaults, basically, for options. So we're seeing a few of those. So there are like a lot of these things swirling around, and you never really know where the next phase is gonna come from. I guess for us, our problem is it's kind of a continuous hamster wheel, because there are a lot of things we can't spend all of our days just integrating new things, right? Otherwise, we'll do nothing else. So we've got to kind of vet and validate a lot more of these projects than we did in the past, perhaps, because it might be the case that we're spending a lot of time integrating things which, maybe 20 users care about, when we could have been spending time on something which 10,000 people care about. So it's kind of, for us, I guess this year, it's going to be a bit of a balancing act. There's coverage which we can have of the entire ecosystem, but then there's like new features that we could build on Step that people are asking for. Transaction history, more analytics for many of their existing investments and so on. Or there could be different tokenomics mechanisms as well. So it's kind of like 3 core things, but you can't have all of them at once. So you have to pick 2. So therefore, which 2 are you going to pick? And that's the balancing act, really.
Yeah, that's the blockchain trilemma. There's always so many things, and you're right about balancing the amount of integrations, and I think as you continue to add more projects and more functionality into Step, you also need to manage that there's not too many things. That it's like, how do you manage the usability, and especially people that aren't technically savvy, to try to get them involved without overwhelming them with too many things in the first second.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're also trying to reach out a bit more to, I don't know if you call them normies, but certainly, DeFi newbies, because I think we've kind of reached a saturation in DeFi where, a lot of the people that are familiar in DeFi are sort of moving between different ecosystems, but you're maybe not attracting new people in. So I guess we've got to be able to build that kind of bridge for people that might be interested in these things but don't know where to begin. So we're working on a few like educational pieces, like some videos as well on that front, to try and sort of just be this educator and be this place. Like we do say with the front page of Solana, so we kind of need to be that kind of educator as well at the same time. But I guess for us, I guess one area that is lacking though is the data area. And we might be able to talk a little bit about that, but we recently kicked off a $5 million fund for other developers projects which want to build data tools on Solana. And for us, this is pretty critical because if I want to know the status of my wallet, let's say at February the 23rd at 8:26 a.m., there is no easy way for me to get that data. And a lot of people are trying different ways to do things. No one's quite nailed it yet. But that's an example of a use case which we should be able to get to. We should be able to get to that point where we know the state of a wallet. So we're looking to fund these kind of projects and really sort of increase the amount of data tools that are available. Like you think of things like Nansen in Ethereum land as well, like whale tracking and these sorts of things. People are going to go out there and do it. We don't have the time to do it, but we would love to integrate some of those tools for other people that are keen on doing it and maybe funding them along the way.
Definitely, yeah. And I was reading into that about the $5 million and for data providers. So you're right. It's about, with all of these projects coming out and all the information going into the blockchain, how do you analyze it properly? How do you take that data and turn it into information to make it something useful, right? And Step is doing a great job in bringing the steps to bring those projects to people, but finding a way to categorize it, make analytics out of it so you can take actionable steps and try to reduce noise as well. So what is the useful information? I think is going to be very important. What kind of, are you just looking overall in the Solana ecosystem on anything that can really take data and bring value to it or bring specific solutions to people that are searching for something?
Yeah, I guess there's got to be some sort of overlap with what we're doing at Step already, right? So it might start with portfolio data. It might start with blockchain data. I guess displaying information about your particular circumstance is more important than something which is like the general blockchain as a whole right now. So for us, we just want to be able to show people more information about, their P&Ls, their wallet histories, these sorts of things, be able to track that over time. And then, maybe that might branch into different tracking and whale wallet stuff, in the wider blockchain world later on. We'll see how we go on that front. But I guess for now, we just want to focus on that. So that's certainly one big thing that's happening. We're also sort of very interested in the emergence of a lot of these alternate ways of incentivization. So we're the first ones to pioneer what we're calling reward options. So if you're familiar with yield farming, or the audience is, generally you put some money into a pool and then they give you tokens, and then your tokens are the yield, right? And then you can go and do what you want with those tokens. Maybe you dump them, maybe you hold them, whatever, restake them. This has been a tried and tested thing to attract liquidity. But the problem is that you're kind of sealing a death warrant in doing it, because you're just handing out coins to people all the time, constantly. And people, there's lots of advanced traders which will just take this, they'll hedge it, they'll go and dump it, and it's just like a farm and dump basically, and move on. So think of it like a customer acquisition cost. Like in many cases, you're paying tremendous sums to acquire customers who are not sticky and are not going to stick around. And you probably would have been better off just using Google Ads, to attract these users, right? And just paying them that way. So we're sort of we're the first to do this thing called a reward option, where essentially if you use the AMM and you do a swap and you pay a fee, then we will pro rata give you what's called a call option on step. So it's in your interest to use our product and our AMM to pay a fee. In order to exercise the option, like the token value has to go up. In order to exercise it, you have to also pay step as well. Which if we're just handing out coins, obviously that doesn't happen. And with that money, then we're able to reinvest back to the stakers and put a floor price on things. So actually, I think just in general, as an incentivization model, people should be looking for alternate ways to attract people to their different projects and their platforms. And this is just one way. But I think the general trend is that the days of just having a yield farm and, hey, see you later, 1,000,000% APYs, are kind of behind us perhaps, and people are maybe looking for these other ways where you have to have at least some skin in the game to be able to get a reward, which I think is just a more healthier for the whole ecosystem, really.
Definitely, and I really like that, George, having the option, because you're right about yield farming and then just creating a token out of thin air and providing that token as the yield. I was caught in that trap years ago in the beginning of DeFi and it gets so exciting because the APY is so high, and then the whales or something happens to the token because everyone's getting it for free. They just dump it on everybody else. And you're right, that doesn't create sustainable customers. And that project that I was looking at is now dead and gone. It was very short-lived. So I really do like that call option functionality that you're talking about. And I've been speaking to a lot of projects who are also working on different kind of options and derivatives on the Solana ecosystem, get more ways for people to trade, not just on the coins. So I think that's really valuable. Is that already live in the platform right now?
So the contracts are live, but it's not live on our UI just yet. That should be in the next week or two. We've been testing it. It's super exciting, and I think this will certainly be the first instance of this on Solana. It's kind of inspired a little bit by what Andre Cronje was saying from Yearn. He made a blog post on this back in August about reward options and these sorts of things. So we're kind of adapting a little bit of what he was said there to our particular situation. But I think it would also create, like, let's say it's a bull market or a bear market, projects could use these kind of strategies for making sure that their coin doesn't inflate during a bear market, which just kind of makes the situation worse. If you have these big APYs during a bear market and the token's going down as well, there's even more incentive for people to go, well, I'm just going to dump this because I think it's going to be down tomorrow. And then, that makes the APYs work, and it's kind of like a death spiral. So with a call option, you don't increase the supply unless the token price actually goes up. So yeah, so there's that kind of metric to it. But yeah, just in general, like I've been thinking a lot about these different strategies over the last 6 months. So yeah, there's going to be more of them, I think, next year.
Very cool. And yeah, we talked about a bunch of things. I'm curious if there's anything we might have left out for, and you're working on so many things throughout 2022, but you just mentioned 3 or 4 really good ones. Is there anything else that you want to hint at for what may be coming for the Step Finance users this year?
I think for us, like we still have to, like at our core, we're a portfolio manager, so we do have to build out some of that. But I do want to have more of the data plays available. So so yeah, being able to give people more insights on their P&L of their different positions at any one time, that's certainly one. More tooling. Yeah, there's some sort of internal stuff with Solana that maybe we can help people do if they're managing their wallets and that sort of thing. But I guess for us, yeah, it's about providing useful things that people care about, and to keep that attention. And if we're able to do that, then we're going to be successful as long as we're able to do that. So yeah, I guess for us, it's call options. It's we're going to have locking, kind of like the curve situation as well. So we're going to sort of have a little bit of those mechanics. But also for us, we did build out an NFT marketplace late last year, but we never launched it because it was a saturated market at the time. And actually, a lot of what we already have in our NFT gallery was kind of repeating that. So for us, we kind of want more insights on what's going to happen with NFTs. Which ones are trending? Which ones are people aping into right now? What's the ability for creators to be able to create these NFTs? Can you just log onto a website, press a button, and then mint 1,000 NFTs? Like right now, that's not possible. So for Step, we want to bring a lot of those things to the fore as well for creators. So yeah, some of those functions of being able to create maybe an entire collection and be able to put them out there. We want Step to be that location for that as well. And we think that's a good use case of, we don't want to play in the marketplace market. Like there's a lot of people doing that already. We just want to be like that data place, the place where people get this information and, people where they can, create their collections on Step. So yeah, that's sort of the position that we want to see ourselves in the next 6 months.
Amazing. Looking forward to that, especially with the NFTs. For the viewers that are looking to follow along with these updates to figure out how they can get involved as it comes out and to get involved with the Step community as well, what is the best way for them to learn more?
Absolutely. Well, every Wednesday we have our weekly deployment. So check out our Twitter. We always highlight it then. But you can always see us on step.finance. We have our Discord links there, Twitter, and a blog as well. So yeah, check out step.finance or just follow us on Twitter and join the Discord. Most welcome, everyone.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time. George, all the best with Step, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thanks so much, Ashton. Great to be here. See you later.